In the realm of UFO enthusiasts and those intrigued by the extraterrestrial, few names stand out as much as Bob Lazar. This unassuming figure burst onto the public scene in the late 1980s, presenting a narrative that would challenge the general consensus on UFOs and spark countless debates.
Flying saucers, flying discs.
Bob Lazar wasn't always synonymous with UFO lore. In fact, by profession, he was a physicist. According to his own account, he was hired to work in a secret section of Area 51, the United States' most infamous and secretive military base. The facility, named S4, supposedly housed projects that were not just top secret, but also otherworldly. The essence of Lazar's story revolves around his claims that he was recruited to work on a project involving the reverse engineering of alien technology. He described a scenario where human scientists, like himself, were attempting to understand and replicate the advanced technological marvels that were purportedly recovered from extraterrestrial visitors. This wasn't just about stealth aircraft or advanced weaponry. This was technology from the stars. Bob Lazar's revelation was more than just a personal account. It was a challenge to the US government's stance on UFOs. It was a direct claim that they not only knew about these visitors, but had tangible physical proof of their existence. To some, Lazar became a hero, a whistleblower lifting the veil on one of the biggest cover-ups in human history. To others, he was seen as a hoaxer, weaving an intricate tale for attention or perhaps other motivations. Over the years, his credibility has been both supported and attacked, with factors such as his alleged educational background and employment history becoming points of contention. However, whether one believes in the veracity of his story or not, Bob Lazar's impact on the world of UFO research and popular culture is undeniable. He opened a Pandora's box of questions, many of which remain unanswered to this day. One of the most compelling parts of Bob Lazar's story revolves around his description of a fleet of 9 flying saucers. These weren't just models or simulations. Lazar claimed that these were actual extraterrestrial craft stored at the S4 facility near Area 51. Each of these saucers, according to Lazar, had its own unique design and size, suggesting either different alien civilizations or various models from one advanced extraterrestrial race. The craft were not just for observation either. Lazar stated that he was given limited access to one particular craft, which he codenamed Sport Model. This saucer was sleek and smooth, shaped like a classic UFO, and had an interior that appeared both organic and biomechanical. Inside the Sport Model, Lazar described the absence of any traditional human-designed controls like buttons, switches, or levers. Instead, the craft was operated by a series of molded seats and panels that seemed to respond directly to touch and intention. Everything about its build suggested that it wasn't constructed for human physiology. The absence of right angles, the seamless nature of its construction, and the smooth metallic surfaces all hinted at an engineering knowledge far surpassing our current understanding. More intriguingly, Lazar claimed that these craft utilized a propulsion system that was not just advanced, but entirely alien to our current scientific understanding. He talked of a power source referred to as Element 115, which was used to generate gravity waves, allowing the saucers to essentially fall in the direction they wanted to travel. This method of propulsion, if true, would revolutionize our understanding of physics and space travel. But where did these craft come from? Lazar didn't claim to know their exact origins, but he did suggest they were part of a long-standing back-engineering project by the US government, the aim to decipher the technology for potential military and scientific applications. Throughout his many interviews, the consistent nature of Bob's descriptions about these 9 mysterious crafts has been a cornerstone for many of his believers. It either lends credibility to his tale or showcases a deeply intricate and unwavering commitment to his narrative. Regardless of where one stands on the spectrum of belief, the story of the 9 saucers is undoubtedly one of the most fascinating pieces of UFO lore in the modern era. Bob Lazar's tales from his alleged time at the S4 facility delve into more than just descriptions of physical craft. They provide a glimpse into technology that, by his account, defies our current scientific understanding. One of the core tenets of Lazar's revelations is that the propulsion systems of these extraterrestrial craft operated on principles that we have yet to fully grasp in terrestrial science. He frequently spoke of Element 115, which at the time of his initial disclosures had not been synthesized or identified in the periodic table. This element, according to Lazar, served as the fuel for the spacecraft. It's not merely about using it as a source of energy, but it's the manner in which it supposedly manipulated gravity that stands out. The crafts didn't just fly in our conventional sense, they generated their own gravitational fields, allowing them to warp and bend space-time. This mode of travel would mean that rather than moving through space, space itself would move around the craft. But how can one even begin to control gravity, a force we're only beginning to understand? Lazar described devices within the craft known as gravity amplifiers. These, combined with the use of element 115, were said to produce a gravitational wave focused by 3 distinct cylindrical structures underneath the craft. The implication here is significant. Mastering gravity would open up possibilities not only for space travel, but also for how we understand the very fabric of the universe. Furthermore, the craft's interiors, as per Lazar's account, were just as enigmatic. Without conventional controls or recognizable interfaces, it's postulated that the craft might have had a direct connection with its pilot, suggesting a biomechanical or even telepathic mode of operation. The cockpit of the sport model craft he detailed was devoid of sharp angles, and everything seemed to be molded from a singular seamless material. This design approach raises questions about the manufacturing techniques of these supposed extraterrestrial civilizations. How can a civilization craft object without seams, joints, or evident assembly lines? The truly intriguing aspect of Lazar's claim was that, at the time he made it, element 115 did not exist on the periodic table. It was a supposed material with properties that sounded straight out of a science fiction novel. Skeptics quickly seized upon this, using it as fodder to debunk Lazar's tales. However, in a twist of scientific advancement, the element was synthesized in labs in 2003 and added to the periodic table, known as moscovium. However, it's crucial to point out a significant difference between Lazar's claims and the scientifically synthesized version of the element. The element 115 produced in laboratories is highly unstable, decaying rapidly, and not showing any of the marvelous gravitational properties described by Lazar. Lazar anticipated this discrepancy, asserting that the stable form of element 115, the one with the unique properties he described, was likely found in regions of the universe with different star production mechanisms than our own. Bob Lazar's discussions on element 115 serve as a linchpin to his broader narrative. While the scientific community's version doesn't directly validate his claims, its very existence provides a tantalizing hint that there's still much about the universe we don't understand. Whether you view Lazar as a whistleblower or a fabricator, discussions surrounding element 115 demonstrate the fascinating interplay between fringe claims and mainstream science. As the years have passed, debates have raged over the validity of Lazar's claims. Yet, his consistent and detailed accounts of technology beyond our understanding continue to fuel discussions in both scientific and UFO enthusiast circles. Whether one views him as a whistleblower or a storyteller, the tales he has spun serve as a captivating exploration of what might be possible beyond the limits of our current knowledge. In the dynamic world of UFO stories, testimonies, and whistleblowers, it's not uncommon for accounts to evolve, get embellished, or even get retracted as the years roll by. Yet there stands Bob Lazar, a singular figure whose story has remained consistent since it first broke into the public consciousness in the late 1980s. What adds weight to Lazar's claims isn't just the detail in his revelations, but the unyielding consistency with which he's presented them, irrespective of the audience or the format, be it radio interviews, documentaries, or casual conversations. From the moment Lazar came forward with his astonishing claims about extraterrestrial technology at Area 51's S4 site, skepticism surrounded his narrative. Critics and debunkers came out in droves, armed with a myriad of reasons to dismiss Lazar's claims. They cited a lack of concrete evidence, questioned his educational and professional background, and often painted him as a fabricator seeking fame or financial gain. However, in the face of such overwhelming scrutiny, where many would falter or revise their statements, Lazar's central narrative about the alien crafts, their propulsion systems, and the secret workings of S4 have stayed the same. Time, as they say, is the best judge. Over the 3 decades since Lazar's claims were made, certain aspects of his story have received unintentional validation. The existence of element 115, once a crucial but fantastical part of his tale, became a reality when scientists officially added it to the periodic table in 2003. While our synthesized version of the element differs from Lazar's descriptions and its stability is fleeting, its very discovery gives pause to even the most ardent skeptics. Lastly, it's worth noting the personal cost to Lazar. Coming forward with such a narrative, true or not, puts one in the crosshairs of public opinion and often personal and professional alienation. Lazar has expressed on numerous occasions his regret about coming forward and the impact it had on his personal life. If his objective was fame or financial gain, one would expect him to double down, to produce more claims, to keep himself in the spotlight. Yet Lazar did the opposite. He receded from the limelight, rarely giving interviews, and maintained his initial tale. This behavior contrasts sharply with those who spin stories for personal gain. It begs the question, why would someone maintain a hoax for over 3 decades, especially when the personal toll is so high? Have you ever heard about Bob Lazar? Yes, the same man who sparked the worldwide curiosity and conspiracy theories surrounding Area 51, extraterrestrial technology, and the mystery Element 115. He claims to have worked on reverse engineering alien technology in a secretive base called S4 near Area 51. But how did a supposed physicist from the Midwest end up at the heart of one of the most enduring UFO narratives of our time? And why does his story continue to fascinate us today, decades after he first brought his claims to the public? Let's delve into this cosmic conundrum together. Bob Lazar, a name that sends ripples through the world of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Born in 1959 in Coral Gables, Florida, Lazar moved to New York during his childhood. He's held a lifelong fascination with science and technology, particularly with jet engines and explosives, and his exploits even led to some minor run-ins with the law. But what truly thrust Lazar into the spotlight wasn't his penchant for pyrotechnics. It was his extraordinary claims in 1989, when he came forward in a televised interview, introducing himself to the world as a physicist and declaring that he had worked in a clandestine facility near the infamous Area 51. This location, he said, was called S4, tucked into the Emigrant Valley and sheltered by the Papoose mountain range. According to Lazar, S4 was the hub of a top-secret operation that focused on reverse engineering alien technology. He claimed to have been part of this covert program, working directly on 9 extraterrestrial craft, each one with different exteriors but identical interiors. His role, he stated, was to help understand and reproduce the incredible technology that powered these vessels. This claim, as outrageous as it was, caught the public's attention. UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists pounced on Lazar's story as proof of the US government's knowledge and involvement with extraterrestrial beings and their technology. But his story also drew skepticism from many others, leading to an ongoing debate about the truth of Lazar's claims, his background, and the very existence of S4. It's this controversy that continues to fog Lazar's story. S4, a location etched into the minds of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike thanks to Lazar. But what was the nature of the work supposedly conducted at this elusive location? Let's delve into what Lazar described as his experiences there. At S4, according to Lazar, the mission was clear yet unimaginably complex: to reverse engineer advanced extraterrestrial technology. He described the alien craft as sports model flying saucers, powered by a device he referred to as the Element 115 reactor. This mysterious element, which he claimed was not of our planet, allegedly generated a gravity wave that propelled the spacecraft. His role, as part of the back engineering team, was to try to understand how these flying saucers worked and to explore the possibility of duplicating their technology using earthly materials and scientific understanding. It was an intricate task that demanded a fusion of physics, engineering, and a lot of conjecture. But Lazar also spoke about the intense secrecy and compartmentalization that characterized the operation. Each project team at S4 was kept in the dark about the other team's work, minimizing the risk of information leakage. Even within the teams, knowledge was strictly on a need-to-know basis. Furthermore, Lazar claimed that the US government had fabricated academic and professional records to discredit him if he ever broke his oath of secrecy. Indeed, when his claims reached the public, Lazar found his background under intense scrutiny, with critics pointing to discrepancies and lack of verifiable records. But in spite of all the skepticism and controversy, the details of Lazar's account continue to captivate many who are willing to ponder the possibility of a secretive government program focused on alien technology. It's a tale that adds another layer to the intriguing tapestry of UFO lore. Bob Lazar's academic and professional credentials have been the subject of intense debate. His claim of having degrees from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, two of the most prestigious institutions in the world, was met with incredulity and skepticism. When investigators attempted to verify Lazar's educational background, they hit a wall. There were no records of Lazar having attended, let alone graduated from either of these universities. Critics argue this effectively discredits his claim of being a physicist, thus calling into question his alleged role at S4. However, Lazar claimed that his records were deliberately erased to discredit him and suppress the explosive information he disclosed. It's a claim that's difficult to prove, but fuels the intrigue surrounding his story. Lazar's supporters point to his undeniable scientific and technical knowledge, arguing that he couldn't have gained such understanding without substantial education. Additionally, Lazar also claimed to have previously worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, a top-level research institution in New Mexico. Initial checks turned up no employment records, but an old phone directory did list a Robert Lazar employed by a subcontractor. Furthermore, a news article from before the controversy featured a picture of Lazar standing next to a jet car he claimed to have built, and the article referred to him as a physicist with the Los Alamos Meson Physics Facility. This tug-of-war between Lazar's claims and the verifiable evidence forms a significant part of the Lazar narrative. It's a maze of mystery, sprinkled with apparent contradictions and unanswered questions, stirring the minds of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. One of the most extraordinary claims Bob Lazar made revolves around an element he referred to as Element 115, which he said was used as the fuel for the alleged extraterrestrial spacecraft at S4. Lazar's description of this element's properties seemed fantastical at the time. He claimed it was capable of generating a gravitational field when excited and could be used for gravity propulsion. This was said to enable the craft to distort gravity around it, allowing for what would appear to us as incredible acceleration and maneuverability, not to mention facilitating travel across vast cosmic distances. He suggested that these distortions in gravity were the reason why observers often reported UFOs as making rapid direction changes and accelerating at unbelievable speeds. In the early 1990s, when Lazar first made these claims, there was no official recognition of element 115 in the periodic table. However, in 2003, scientists were able to synthetically create a super-heavy element with an atomic number of 115. Named Moscovium, it was not as stable as Lazar had claimed element 115 was, and it certainly did not exhibit the gravity-defying properties he described. Nonetheless, this development sparked renewed interest in his story. Additionally, Lazar detailed the design and functionality of the alleged alien spacecraft. He claimed they were powered by a gravity reactor, which utilized element 115 to generate a gravity A wave. The spacecraft allegedly had 3 gravity amplifiers, which could focus the gravity A wave to allow the craft to essentially fall in any direction, explaining their seemingly impossible maneuvers. The technical and detailed nature of Lazar's claims, whether fact or fiction, have undeniably captured the imagination of many and have significantly influenced the discourse around UFO technology and potential alien propulsion methods. Today, Bob Lazar's story continues to divide opinions and provoke debate, with many still questioning the truth of his assertions and the validity of his credentials. The lack of substantial, verifiable evidence has kept many skeptics unconvinced. Yet there are others who believe his account, drawn to the consistency in his narrative and the specific technological details he provided. Lazar has largely withdrawn from the public eye, but made a significant return to the spotlight with the 2018 documentary Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, directed by Jeremy Corbell. In the film, Lazar stands by his claims, expressing frustration and discomfort about his unique knowledge and the ensuing disbelief he has faced. The documentary has brought his story to a new generation, sparking renewed interest and debate. Some points that have kept his narrative alive include the official acknowledgement of Area 51 by the US government in 2013, more than 2 decades after Lazar first brought it to public attention. Moreover, the US Navy's confirmation of several videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena performing maneuvers that appear to defy our understanding of physics has led some to speculate about the kind of technology Lazar described. In recent years, a renewed push for transparency on UFOs from certain sectors of the US government and military, culminating in the 2020 release of previously classified UFO footage, has added fuel to the discussion surrounding Lazar's claims. While none of this conclusively proves Lazar's story, for some, it suggests that the world might be closer to accepting the existence of technology and knowledge that is currently beyond our comprehension. And so, as we stare up at the night sky, pondering our place in the cosmos, the story of Bob Lazar continues to challenge our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Despite the skeptics, despite the controversy, his tale echoes with our innate desire to explore the unknown and to comprehend the incomprehensible. So next time when you look at the stars twinkling above, ask yourself, could it be that we've already touched the cosmos in ways we can't fully understand or accept? Just a thought. Throughout history, the trajectory of human technological advancement has been somewhat linear. Societies grow, cultures build upon the knowledge of their predecessors, and over time new inventions and methodologies are birthed. This steady march of progress has been charted by historians, sociologists, and scientists alike. But every once in a while there's a hiccup in the timeline, a sudden, almost inexplicable burst of progress. Consider the rapid development of the integrated circuit or microchip. In the span of a few decades, we went from room-sized computers with the computing power of a modern calculator to pocket-sized devices that could access vast swathes of human knowledge. These leaps are fascinating, not only because of the technological marvels they produce, but because they often don't align with the expected progression. Now, to add a sprinkle of cosmic wonder to the mix, let's indulge in the speculative. What if some of these rapid advancements didn't have their origins in human thought? What if, hidden among our countless innovations, some were inspired, tweaked, or even directly acquired from extraterrestrial sources? It's an alluring thought, especially when we consider the pace at which some of these technologies have emerged and the transformative impact they've had on society. One might argue that human collaboration, the globalization of information and cumulative innovation could explain these jumps, and they'd be right for the most part. But isn't there a sliver of wonder, a tiny what-if that might suggest otherwise? After all, in the vast expanse of the universe with its billion of stars and potentially even more planets, could it be possible that we've had a little nudge along the way? Even if this speculation remains firmly in the realm of fiction, the very act of questioning, of wondering, propels us forward. It challenges us to look beyond the familiar horizon and entertain the infinite possibilities that lie beyond. And whether those possibilities are of our making or inspired by something or someone beyond the stars remains one of the greatest mysteries of our time. Human history is punctuated with moments of technological marvels that seem, at first glance, to come out of nowhere. These sudden advances, which defy linear progression, often raise eyebrows and fuel theories about extraterrestrial influences. One particularly enticing area of investigation is the realm of advanced propulsion systems and the anomalous technologies that accompany them. Let's start with the basics: propulsion. Our understanding of propulsion has, for the longest time, been based on Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is the principle that governs everything from the combustion engines in our cars to the colossal rocket engines that send astronauts into space. But in the last few decades, there have been whispers and leaked reports of propulsion systems that don't adhere to this conventional wisdom. The idea of reactionless drives or propulsion systems that function without emitting any tangible exhaust has been a subject of both ridicule and intrigue in the scientific community. Now, onto the anomalies. Over the years, there have been multiple reports, some more credible than others, about materials and technologies that seem to defy the laws of physics. memory metals, substances that revert to a predefined shape, irrespective of how they've been manipulated, are one such example. These materials, light, flexible, and incredibly resilient, don't align neatly with our current understanding of metallurgy or material science. Then there's the topic of energy sources. Contemporary human technology is primarily powered by electricity, derived from various sources like fossil fuels, nuclear power, and renewables. However, there have been persistent rumors about devices often linked to unidentified aerial phenomena, powered by energy sources unknown to modern science. These energy sources, seemingly compact, incredibly efficient, and with emissions profiles that are negligible, are a dream for current technological applications. If there's any truth to these speculations, the implications of such an energy source would be revolutionary. Piecing it all together, one could argue that these tech anomalies and whispers of advanced propulsion systems point to a potential outside influence, perhaps extraterrestrial in nature. But without concrete evidence, these remain in the realm of speculation and conjecture. The search for answers continues, but in the meantime, these mysteries offer a tantalizing glimpse into what might be possible, urging us to push the boundaries of our understanding and reach for the stars, both metaphorically and literally. Metamaterials have captured the imagination of researchers and enthusiasts alike, representing a class of materials that exhibit properties not found in naturally occurring substances. What makes metamaterials so fascinating is their unique, almost otherworldly ability to manipulate electromagnetic waves in ways that traditional materials can't. From invisibility cloaks to superlenses that surpass the limitations of conventional optics, the potential applications of these materials seem to border on science fiction. Delving deeper into their structure, metamaterials aren't derived from exotic elements sourced from distant galaxies. Instead, they owe their unique properties to their intricately engineered microstructures. These microstructures, often smaller than the wavelength of light they interact with, give metamaterials their power. By controlling and designing these structures at a microscopic scale, scientists can manipulate how these materials interact with light, radio waves, and other forms of electromagnetic radiation. The talk of advanced alloys, on the other hand, brings us to a slightly different territory. Alloys, as we understand them, are combinations of metals designed to imbue certain desirable properties. From the bronze of our ancient ancestors to the high-strength steels and superalloys of today, humanity's progress has been marked by our ability to create and harness the properties of alloys. But what if there exist alloys beyond our current comprehension, materials with attributes so unique that they challenge our current scientific understanding? There have been murmurs, especially in the circles focused on unidentified aerial phenomena, about the discovery of unknown alloys. These materials, often associated with unexplained crash sites or encounters, purportedly exhibit properties that cannot be accounted for based on our existing metallurgical knowledge. Whether it's resistance to extreme temperatures, inexplicable lightness combined with strength, or other unique electromagnetic interactions, these alloys represent another piece in the puzzle of potential extraterrestrial technology. While the origins and full capabilities of metamaterials and advanced alloys remain a topic of investigation, their very existence pushes us to question the limits of our technological understanding. It nudges us toward a future where the line between the natural and the engineered, the understood and the mysterious, becomes increasingly blurred, propelling us forward in our quest for knowledge and innovation. In the annals of modern ufology, few events have captured the public's imagination and stoked as much debate as the Roswell incident of 1947. A seemingly unassuming town in New Mexico became the epicenter of an event that would fuel discussions, investigations, and speculations for decades to come. But what really happened at Roswell? And more importantly, did it have a lasting impact on our technological development? The official narrative is well known. A rancher stumbled upon debris on his property which the US military initially described as a flying disc, before retracting that statement, declaring it the remnants of a weather balloon. Case closed, right? However, the inconsistencies and rapid backtracking in the official narrative only further fueled speculations. Soon, stories began circulating about not just debris, but an actual crashed spacecraft and even extraterrestrial bodies being recovered from the site. But let's dive a bit deeper into the implications of the Roswell incident in the context of technology. There's a theory, albeit largely in the domain of speculative fiction, that suggests some of the materials or technology retrieved from the Roswell site made their way into research labs. These labs, covert and dedicated to reverse engineering, aim to understand, replicate, and perhaps even implement alien technologies into human-made devices. Consider the growth and emergence of stealth technology, advanced propulsion systems, and even the aforementioned integrated circuits. Could it be mere coincidence that these technologies began to gain significant traction after the 1940s? While there's no concrete evidence linking the Roswell incident to these technological advancements, the timing is at the very least intriguing. Furthermore, witness testimonies, although often discredited or brushed aside, have hinted at the potential for technologies beyond our understanding present at Roswell. Whispers of materials that could change shape and composition, or propulsion systems that defied our understanding of physics, continue to circulate. The James Webb Space Telescope is often heralded as the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope, but in reality, its capabilities go far beyond its predecessors. Set to redefine our understanding of the universe, the JWST's conception and the technology that drives it are nothing short of groundbreaking. Designed with the primary mirror spanning 6.5 meters, more than 2.5 times the diameter of Hubble's, the JWST promises unprecedented resolution and sensitivity. However, it's not just the size of the mirror that sets this telescope apart, it's the engineering behind it. Composed of 18 hexagonal segments coated with a thin layer of gold to optimize infrared reflection, these mirrors can be adjusted individually, allowing for in-flight calibrations. This design ensures optimal imaging performance, even after the wear and tear of a launch and deep space operations. The telescope's position is another intriguing aspect. Instead of orbiting Earth like Hubble, the James Webb Space Telescope is set to occupy a location known as the second Lagrange point, or L2, nearly 1.5 million kilometers away from our planet. At this spot, the gravitational forces between the Earth and the Sun, as well as the orbital motion of the telescope, all balance out, allowing the telescope to effectively hover in a stable position relative to the Earth and Sun. This unique position affords it an unobstructed view of the universe, free from the interference of Earth's atmosphere or thermal emissions. One of the driving goals behind the telescope is its quest to capture light from the first galaxies that formed after the Big Bang. By focusing on infrared observations, it can look further back in time than ever before, studying the formation and growth of these ancient galaxies and providing insights into the early phases of the universe. But its infrared prowess doesn't stop there. It's also ideally suited to study the formation of stars and planetary systems, including those in our own Milky Way galaxy. The technologies behind the James Webb Space Telescope raise questions about their origins. Given the massive leap in technological capabilities and the precision engineering required for its instruments, one might wonder, could any of its technological inspirations have roots in knowledge beyond our planet? While there's no direct evidence to suggest extraterrestrial influence, the mere existence of such advanced instruments sparks curiosity and opens the door to endless possibilities about our universe and the technologies we devise to study it. What if I told you that alien technology is not just in the realm of science fiction, but potentially right under our noses? Some say governments around the world may have been collecting, studying, even reverse engineering extraterrestrial tech for decades. And what if we could trace this interaction all the way back to the Roswell incident in 1947, or perhaps even earlier? Let's delve into this fascinating world of UFOs, government secrets, and the tech that could be out of this world. Now, the question that stands out like a sore thumb is, when did the government actually start collecting these unidentified flying objects? The timing seems to be a subject of considerable debate, with some pointing as far back as the early 20th century. However, the watershed moment that brought UFOs into the public eye was undoubtedly the infamous Roswell incident of 1947. After the alleged crash of a UFO near Roswell, New Mexico, many UFO researchers and enthusiasts believe that the US government initiated a concerted effort to recover and study extraterrestrial technology. This is where things get murky. Official records deny the presence of any extraterrestrial artifact, explaining the incident as the crash of a high-altitude surveillance balloon. However, theorists and witnesses insist that there was a cover-up. The years that followed the Roswell incident saw an increase in reported UFO sightings, not just in the US but around the globe. Many believe this marked the beginning of covert government programs designed to acquire, study, and potentially reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. Through the Cold War and the space race right into the 21st century, the narrative of governmental involvement with UFOs and potential alien technology has persisted. Enter Philip J. Corso, a name synonymous with the most famous alleged UFO incident in history. The Roswell incident of 1947. Corso, a former US Army colonel, shook the world with his claims in the book The Day After Roswell. According to Corso, he was entrusted with foreign technology recovered from the Roswell crash. He alleged that the US government had reverse-engineered this technology and then seeded it into the private sector, with Corso playing a pivotal role in the process. But what exactly was this foreign technology? Corso described artifacts such as a thin, clear material like plastic, reminiscent of the integrated circuits used in our modern computers. He also wrote of fiber optics, lasers, supertenacity fibers that led to the development of Kevlar, and other advanced technology that was apparently far beyond human capability at the time. He even claimed that the Roswell craft itself was a kind of lifeboat for the alien crew, and was designed to interface with them directly. Now, that's a thought to send chills down your spine, isn't it? A spaceship not just controlled by the creatures, but an actual part of them. However, skeptics have challenged Corso's claims, pointing to discrepancies in his accounts, and citing the rapid pace of human technological advancement as a more plausible explanation for these innovations. But Corso's tale is just one piece of the puzzle. Let's dive deeper, shall we? Now, you might be thinking, if this is all true, why doesn't the government just come out and say it? Well, believe it or not, they kind of have. Over the past few years, government agencies, particularly in the United States, have been more forthcoming about the UFO phenomenon. In 2020, the US Department of Defense officially released 3 short videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena. These were captured by Navy pilots during training flights between 2004 and 2015. Each of the videos showcases fast-moving, oblong objects racing through the sky and performing maneuvers that seem to defy our understanding of physics. The government's acknowledgement of these videos as real, unidentified objects is a big deal. It's the closest we've come to an official admission that there are things in our skies that our best military and scientific minds can't explain. Then, there's the Pentagon's UAP task force, established in 2020 with a mandate to investigate sightings of unexplained aerial vehicles by military personnel. So while they're not saying, hey, we've got aliens, they're certainly saying, hey, there's something weird in the sky and we don't know what it is. But this acknowledgement doesn't tell us what these unidentified objects are, where they come from, or who, or what is controlling them. But it's a step towards transparency that was unthinkable even a decade ago. Could it be possible that this is a slow, calculated strategy to prepare us for something bigger, to acclimate us to the reality of the unknown? Perhaps. But for now, we're left with more questions than answers. So, let's explore further. After all, the best is yet to come. But how long have governments been aware of this alien phenomenon? And when did contact supposedly occur? Let's delve into that. According to some researchers and theorists, contact with extraterrestrial life may have started much earlier than we think. Reports of sightings and encounters date back centuries, with many ancient civilizations attributing their advancements to the sky gods. But when we talk about modern times, things start to get a bit more concrete, albeit still largely speculative. Some theorists point to the events of 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico as a significant turning point. They claimed that a crash involving an extraterrestrial spacecraft occurred and that the US government recovered debris and even alien bodies. If this is true, then governments have been in contact with alien technology, and potentially aliens themselves, for over 7 decades. But perhaps more interestingly, some whistleblowers and researchers argue that direct purposeful contact has been established between humans and extraterrestrial beings. Former Canadian Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer publicly stated in 2005 that not only do UFOs exist, but that governments have been in direct contact with extraterrestrials for many years. He even goes so far as to say that at least 4 species of aliens have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. Similar claims have been made by others, suggesting that this contact has resulted in a wealth of shared technology and knowledge, much of which remains top secret. If these assertions are correct, then we are dealing with a global, multi-generational cover-up, with implications that would shake our society to its very core. But why would the government keep such world-altering information secret? Well, let's take a look at some potential reasons. Now, let's talk about possibilities. What are the potential technologies we could imagine extraterrestrial beings to have? And which of these might governments potentially have access to? For starters, let's consider the obvious, spacecraft technology. We're not just talking about sleek aerodynamic designs that defy gravity. These technologies could potentially involve manipulation of space-time itself. Ideas such as warp drives, teleportation devices, and wormhole generators are all part of this speculative discussion. If such technologies are within the grasp of extraterrestrial civilizations, it could explain the seemingly impossible maneuvers reported in many UFO sightings. Then there's energy technology. It's no secret that we're facing an energy crisis on Earth, but an advanced alien civilization may have already solved this issue. Technologies that allow for harnessing energy from stars, otherwise known as Dyson spheres or Dyson swarms, or even directly tapping into the fabric of space-time for limitless energy, are all within the realm of theoretical possibility. And what about medical technology? Some abductees claim to have been healed or altered by their alien captors. Could we see advanced medical equipment capable of rapidly healing injuries, curing diseases, or even halting the aging process? But perhaps most interesting is the possibility of communication and information technology that could provide access to an interstellar internet, connecting civilizations across the galaxy or even the universe. This could potentially give us access to a wealth of knowledge beyond anything we've ever imagined. Of course, these are all speculative. We're still waiting on solid proof, but if even one of these technologies is real and within our reach, it could entirely reshape our civilization. And here's where things get a little tricky. You might be wondering, if the government does have such revolutionary technology, why keep it hidden? There are a few theories, really. For starters, any new technology that offers a significant strategic advantage is likely to be kept secret, especially in the context of national security. If these technologies can be weaponized, it would be natural for governments to want to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Moreover, disclosure could lead to social, economic, and religious upheaval. Imagine the societal impact of realizing we're not alone in the universe, or the economic consequences of introducing free, limitless energy. We could be looking at a complete restructuring of power and wealth, something those currently in power might not be too keen on. Then there's the potential for panic. In 1938, a radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds led to widespread fear among listeners who believed an actual alien invasion was underway. This incident has often been cited as an example of the mass hysteria that could result from the sudden revelation of extraterrestrial existence. Finally, consider that the governments might be suppressing the information not for our protection, but because they're being instructed to by the extraterrestrials themselves. Maybe the aliens don't believe we're ready for such revelations, or they might have their own reasons for wanting to stay in the shadows. All in all, these considerations paint a complex picture of the potential reasons for the suppression of alien technology. But remember, these are just theories. Until there is official disclosure, we can only speculate, conjecture, and ask ourselves, what if? So there you have it. Philip J. Corso's detailed assertions about back-engineering alien tech from Roswell and the intriguing timelines of government interactions with UFOs. Could it be that we've had access to interstellar technology for decades? And if so, what's been holding back the big reveal? Food for thought, isn't it? As always, thanks for watching, and remember, the truth is out there, or is it? Have you ever wondered how we made such monumental leaps in technology in such a short span of time? From the silicon-based integrated circuit chips that drive our digital world to the Kevlar that protects lives daily, our technological prowess has soared. But what if I told you there might be more to it? What if some of our revolutionary inventions were not solely the result of human ingenuity, but were rather gifted to us by extraterrestrial entities? Let's explore this fascinating and controversial theory. It's hard to understate just how revolutionary the transistor was for modern technology. These tiny devices, which can amplify or switch electronic signals and electrical power, are everywhere. They are the building blocks of all our modern digital devices, from computers to smartphones, all the way to our most advanced supercomputers. In short, they have defined the digital age. The origins of the transistor, however, are the subject of some debate. Officially, the invention is attributed to three American physicists at Bell Labs, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley, who shared the 1956 Nobel Prize in Physics for their invention. They certainly did the hard scientific work, painstakingly researching semiconductors and experimenting with germanium and silicon to eventually create the first point-contact transistor in 1947. However, those who propose that the transistor was reverse-engineered from alien technology point to a curious coincidence. The development and subsequent patenting of the transistor occurred shortly after the infamous Roswell incident in 1947, when a UFO is said to have crashed in New Mexico. The timing has led some to suggest that the rapid development of the transistor was spurred by reverse-engineering technology recovered from the crash. Supporters of this theory point out that the transistor represented a massive leap forward in technology, seemingly appearing out of nowhere. They argue that such a major advancement seems unlikely without some form of external input, in this case, extraterrestrial technology. Detractors, however, contend that the development of the transistor was a natural evolution of our understanding of physics and electronics, building upon years of prior research. The truth, as always, may lie somewhere in between. Whether spurred by human ingenuity, alien tech, or a combination of both, the transistor's impact on our world is undeniable. Another technological marvel that is often suggested to be a product of alien reverse engineering is Kevlar, a high-strength material best known for its use in bulletproof vests. Kevlar is 5 times stronger than steel, yet it's also lightweight, making it ideal for personal protective equipment, as well as a host of other industrial applications. The creation of Kevlar is officially attributed to Polish-American chemist Stephanie Kwolek, who was working for the DuPont company in the 1960s. Her work in liquid crystalline polymers led to the accidental discovery of Kevlar's incredible strength and durability. But what if there's more to this story? In the world of UFO lore, there are theories that suggest Kevlar's origins might not be as straightforward as they seem. Some posit that Kevlar's creation might have been guided, directly or indirectly, by access to alien technology. According to this theory, studying alien technology could have propelled our understanding of materials science forward, leading to the development of Kevlar. How might this have worked? Well, if we consider the supposed crash of a UFO near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, it's suggested that the debris recovered was made of a material that was both incredibly light and nearly indestructible. Such characteristics are strikingly similar to Kevlar's. Could Kwolek's research have been influenced by insights gained from studying this wreckage? This doesn't stop enthusiasts from speculating, however, as it's a tantalizing idea to think that our modern technology might have otherworldly origins. After all, the gap between science fiction and science fact can sometimes be surprisingly narrow. Given the alleged secrecy surrounding reverse engineering alien technology, it's no surprise that identifying the exact locations where this process supposedly occurs is challenging. However, there are a few sites frequently mentioned by those who follow the trail of extraterrestrial tech. One name that almost always comes up in discussions of reverse engineering alien technology is Area 51. Located in the remote Nevada desert, Area 51 has been the subject of UFO and alien theories for decades. Bob Lazar, a physicist who claims to have worked at a sublocation of Area 51 known as S4, has stated that he worked on reverse engineering alien spacecraft there. If Lazar's accounts are accurate, Area 51 could very well be a hub for such clandestine operations. In addition to Area 51, there are mentions of other secretive military and research facilities in the US and around the world. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, for instance, is often associated with the Roswell incident. It's thought that wreckage from the crashed UFO was transported there for study. Overseas, Kapustin Yar, often referred to as Russia's Area 51, is rumored to have been involved in similar operations. Located in Astrakhan Oblast, near the Kazakhstan border, the military base has been shrouded in secrecy since its establishment by the Soviet Union in 1946. Then there's Pine Gap in Australia, a joint US-Australian satellite surveillance base. Some believe that Pine Gap may also be involved in reverse engineering extraterrestrial tech, based on its high level of secrecy and strategic importance to the US military. Bob Lazar, a figure synonymous with Area 51 and alien technology, once claimed to work at a site called S4, located a short distance south of the infamous Nevada base. But Lazar's job wasn't your run-of-the-mill government gig. As per his account, he was tasked with reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. Lazar, a physicist by training, allegedly worked with a team to understand and potentially replicate the propulsion systems of 9 different spacecraft that he claimed were of extraterrestrial origin. He stated that these crafts employed a technology that harnessed gravity itself, using a substance Lazar referred to as Element 115, which was unknown to science at the time of his claims. Element 115, or Moscovium as it is now known, was officially recognized by the scientific community years later in 2003. However, it doesn't possess the properties that Lazar attributed to it, adding a layer of controversy to his claims. Within the labyrinth of the S4 facility, as Lazar described, were 9 hangar-like doors built into the side of a mountain, each one a storehouse for alien spacecraft. In one instance, Lazar recounted a moment where he was allowed to step inside one of these vehicles, dubbed the Sport Model. He described it as a seamless metallic object, both remarkable and eerie in its otherworldly simplicity. Lazar's claims are often met with skepticism, especially as no concrete evidence has been provided to back up his story. Government records of his education and employment were also seemingly non-existent, making it even harder for many to believe his tales. Yet, his detailed account continues to capture the imagination of those intrigued by the potential for human interaction with extraterrestrial technology. So, does S4 house the secrets of alien engineering, or is it merely the epicenter of a well-spun myth? As is often the case when dealing with stories of this nature, the truth remains elusive. Yet, the questions posed and the fascination stoked by these tales keep the discussion of alien technology alive and thriving. Philip J. Corso, a name that rings quite familiar in the realm of ufology and extraterrestrial encounters, claimed to have direct knowledge of the government's secretive endeavors into alien technology. His controversial book, The Day After Roswell, sent shockwaves through the scientific and ufological communities, becoming a cornerstone for those who believe in the conspiracy of government suppression of alien technology. According to Corso, a retired US Army colonel, he was directly involved in the research and development program that reverse-engineered alien technology retrieved from the infamous Roswell crash in 1947. He alleges that he was assigned to a Pentagon project under the command of Lieutenant General Arthur Trudeau, whose task was to filter Roswell technology into the mainstream through defense contractors without raising public awareness about the alien origins of the tech. Among the technologies Corso claimed to have worked on were integrated circuit chips, fiber optics, and lasers. Technologies that have since revolutionized our lives in ways we couldn't imagine in the pre-Roswell era. He argued that these advances were not simply the result of human progress, but were significantly accelerated by the study of alien tech. Corso also claimed that night vision technology was developed through the reverse engineering of alien optical systems. He proposed that extraterrestrial entities had superior night vision, which humans tried to replicate by examining the biomechanics of retrieved alien eyes. Critics have challenged Corso's assertions due to the lack of documented proof and the convenient timing of his revelations, coming forth many decades after the purported events. But the startling specificity of his claims continues to ignite interest and debate. True or not, Corso's accounts continue to add fuel to the conversation surrounding the possibilities of reverse-engineered alien technology and its implications for our understanding of human technological development. And as always, thanks for watching. It's indeed intriguing to consider how our technological advancements could be intertwined with extraterrestrial phenomena. From alleged facilities like Area 51 and S4, to claims made by people like Bob Lazar and Philip J. Corso, The stories and theories around alien tech are never-ending, but regardless of whether these assertions hold any weight, they surely open up a world of imagination and curiosity, urging us to question, explore, and keep an open mind. So the next time you use your smartphone or see a bulletproof vest, just remember, it may not be all human ingenuity. Imagine just for a moment the world going quiet. No buzz of electricity in the walls, no hum of computers or devices, not even the reliable light from a simple bulb. What if, with a sudden jarring shock, all electronics on Earth abruptly stopped functioning? It's an event called a global shutdown, an idea that might sound like it's ripped straight from the pages of a dystopian novel. But in actuality, it's a conceivable reality. A global shutdown isn't about a temporary power outage or a localized incident. Instead, it's a scenario where the intricate web of electronics that blankets our planet, an infrastructure that drives our communication, transportation, healthcare, and economy, grinds to an indefinite halt. We're talking about an event so massive and all-encompassing that it could affect everything from the phone in your hand to the International Space Station orbiting above us. This would plunge us into an era that could resemble the pre-electricity days. Suddenly, we're living in a world that's no longer shrinking because of our ability to travel swiftly or communicate instantaneously across great distances. Instead, the planet becomes a vast, intimidating wilderness again. How could this happen? What could cause such a staggering blow to our technologically tethered civilization? There are a few potential culprits, both natural and man-made, that we'll explore next. The prime natural suspect in our global shutdown scenario is a solar flare, or more specifically, a coronal mass ejection, CME. A colossal explosion on the sun's surface that spews an intense stream of charged particles into space. If Earth lies in the path of these particles, the result can be a geomagnetic storm that interacts forcefully with our planet's magnetic field. A particularly strong storm could induce electrical currents in our power lines, causing widespread blackouts. The Carrington event of 1859, the most powerful geomagnetic storm on record, caused telegraph systems across Europe and North America to fail. Telegraph papers even caught fire. Fast forward to today, and a similar event could be catastrophic, affecting everything from our power grid to satellites and undersea cables, the backbone of our global communication network. On the man-made side of things, we have the ominous prospect of an electromagnetic pulse, EMP attack. An EMP can be generated by detonating a nuclear weapon at a high altitude, which releases a burst of gamma radiation. This radiation knocks loose a horde of high-energy electrons that, moving near the speed of light, generate a powerful electromagnetic field as they're deflected by Earth's magnetic field. This sudden field shift can induce damaging current and voltage surges in electrical and electronic systems, potentially causing a massive continent-wide blackout. Both these scenarios, a powerful solar flare or a strategically deployed EMP, could cause the intricate electronic web our modern world relies on to unravel rapidly, plunging us into a new era of uncertainty and challenge. But what would this new era look like? Let's explore this in the next segment. As we have seen, the shutdown of all electronics is a scenario that can have several causes. But one thing is clear: the immediate and universal loss of power would have catastrophic effects on the preservation of our digital knowledge. This might lead you to question, what would happen to all the data and information that we've stored electronically? The first thing to understand is that the bulk of our digital knowledge, ranging from governmental databases to personal photos, is stored in two main formats: volatile and non-volatile storage. Volatile storage, like the RAM in your computer, requires a constant power source to maintain the information it holds. As soon as the power is cut, the data vanishes. However, non-volatile storage, such as your hard drive or flash drive, retains data even when powered off. So in a sudden universal power loss, any data in volatile storage would be instantly lost. But the integrity of data in non-volatile storage would still be at risk over the long term. Without climate-controlled environments provided by modern infrastructure, sensitive electronic components can degrade, potentially rendering data unreadable. Moreover, even if the physical storage media survive, the machines required to read this data would also need to be re-engineered, a colossal challenge in a post-electronic world. To compound the issue, even the non-digital information would be at risk. The shutdown of power would affect not just the devices we use for work, communication, and leisure, but also the systems that protect our libraries and archives. Without modern climate control systems, these repositories of knowledge would be susceptible to damage from humidity, temperature fluctuations, and pests. Overall, the loss of electronics would thrust us into a new dark age, not merely through the loss of convenience and connection, but through the irreplaceable loss of knowledge. This prompts us to ask, how would we rebuild our technology and our society? Let's explore this in the next segment. The loss of all electronics would plunge humanity into a new era, one where the knowledge and advancements we've worked centuries to achieve could be erased in an instant. We've grown so reliant on technology that we'd almost have to start from scratch, but how would we even begin to rebuild our technological world? First, we need to consider that while our knowledge of technology may be vast, the practical know-how is distributed and specialized. Few individuals have a comprehensive understanding of how to build an electronic device from scratch, let alone the complex machinery and infrastructure that underpins our technological civilization. The ability to mine and refine raw materials, to manufacture components, and to assemble and program a final product are all specialized skills spread across countless individuals and organizations. With the loss of all electronics, we'd be without the industrial and informational infrastructure that makes such distributed cooperation possible. Consequently, rebuilding would likely begin with simpler, more robust technologies. Think steam power, mechanical computing, and the telegraph. These technologies, less susceptible to an EMP or solar flare and simpler to manufacture, could serve as stepping stones toward higher technology. Recovering our current level of technology would likely take decades, if not centuries, and would depend heavily on maintaining social stability and literacy in the interim. It's important to note that this process would not be simply a replay of the Industrial Revolution. We'd be doing this with a fragmented understanding of a technological endpoint, and in a world stripped of easily accessible natural resources by prior industrial activity. The challenge then wouldn't just be how to rebuild, but how to rebuild sustainably. The path to reclaiming our electronic heritage would be a difficult one, full of obstacles and setbacks. Yet it's also an intriguing thought experiment. It makes us question our reliance on complex, fragile technology, and prompts us to consider how we could better safeguard our knowledge for future generations. In the next segment, we'll look at the potential social consequences of such a universal technological shutdown. Buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. With the shutdown of all electronics, our societal structure would face massive upheaval. We live in a highly interconnected world where information, goods, and services flow across the globe in mere seconds. But strip that away and we're left with a society much more localized, much more immediate. The effects would be profound and far-reaching. Imagine it. The world's cities, once bustling with technology and human activity, plunged into silence and darkness. Traffic lights stop functioning, causing gridlock on the roads. Public transportation grinds to a halt. Skyscrapers, once brilliant with light, stand dark and abandoned. Supermarkets, reliant on electronic systems for inventory and refrigeration, quickly exhaust their supplies. Our reliance on digital communication would hit us hard. No more internet, no more social media, no more instant communication across the globe. Families and friends would be cut off, possibly without knowing the fate of their loved ones. Governments would struggle to maintain control, their command and control structures paralyzed. In this vacuum, smaller, localized groups could take power. These groups could be benign or malign, but without a unifying authority, conflict would likely arise. That's not to say there wouldn't be benefits. In the wake of such a cataclysm, we'd likely see a return to more communal living, with local resources and skills becoming incredibly valuable. The experience could unite communities in a shared struggle, fostering cooperation and empathy. Education, too, would take on new importance. With our digital repositories of knowledge lost, each piece of information, each skill, each story becomes invaluable. In this sense, every person becomes a living library, their knowledge a lifeline to the past and a beacon for the future. It's a sobering scenario, but it's essential to remember that this is just a hypothetical situation. However, it serves as a stark reminder of our reliance on technology and the fragility of our digital society. In the next and final segment, we'll explore the steps we could take to mitigate the risk of such a cataclysm. Stay tuned. It's time to consider our technological future. So what could our future look like if all electronics were to shut off, plunging us into a world without the technological conveniences we've become so accustomed to? It's difficult to predict precisely, but we can make some educated guesses based on human history and our understanding of societal dynamics. In the immediate aftermath, there would certainly be confusion and panic. Our world is so deeply intertwined with technology that such a massive shift would be disorienting, to say the least. Food and water distribution would likely be a significant initial concern. With no power for refrigeration or to run machinery, our current food distribution system would fall apart. However, we as a species have shown ourselves to be remarkably adaptable. Over time, we'd likely see the re-emergence of older technologies and techniques. Picture candlelit homes, horse-drawn carriages, windmills and water wheels. Communities would need to become more self-sufficient, leading to a resurgence in local farming and other traditional methods of food production and distribution. Communications would revert to pre-digital methods. Physical mail, runners, semaphores, and maybe even pigeon post would make a comeback. Without GPS, old-school navigation techniques would need to be dusted off. Expect to see a rise in the use of maps, compasses, and maybe even sextants. In terms of rebuilding technology, a complete shutdown wouldn't erase our collective knowledge. Those with the skills and knowledge to rebuild would become invaluable. Mechanics, engineers, scientists, builders, these professions would be crucial in helping society regain some semblance of technological normality. The rate of this progress would depend on the availability of resources and the level of organization in these post-electronic societies. And what of governance? The loss of global communication systems would effectively fragment the world, making global governance as we know it impossible. Smaller, more localized governments would likely spring up, with power structures based on immediate needs and the abilities of individuals within the community. In essence, the world after an electronic shutdown would be radically different. The pace of life would slow, and the world would become a much bigger place. It's a scenario that requires us to rethink our relationship with technology, recognize our dependencies, and perhaps consider how we might better prepare for such an eventuality. But for now, we are left to ponder. What if?